There's a specific, heavy silence that exists in a room where work is supposed to be happening, but isn't. You know this silence. You know the texture of it. It is not a peaceful silence. It is not the silence of a monk in meditation, or the silence of a library where focus is flowing. It is a vibrating, screaming silence. It is 10 a.m. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, or perhaps you are on the couch. The device is in your hand, the black mirror that connects you to the world. You are physically comfortable. There are no chains on your wrists. The door is unlocked. The sun is likely shining outside, casting that specific, judgmental angle of light across the floor that reminds you that the day is moving. The world is spinning. People are trading stocks, building houses, writing novels, feeding children. And you are frozen. There's a list in your head. It is not even a difficult list. It contains things like reply to the email, wash the bowl, open the document. These are tasks that a version of you, a past version, or perhaps a theoretical future version, could complete in minutes. But right now, in this moment, the distance between your intention and your action feels like a canyon. You are standing on one side, screaming at your legs to move, to bridge the gap, but the bridge is gone. This is the frozen state. The world looks at you and sees stillness. If someone were to walk into the room right now, they would see a person resting. They might even feel envious. Look at them, they might think, lounging around, wasting time, without a care in the world. But you are not resting. You are not lounging. Internally, you are running a marathon at a sprint pace. Your mind is a cacophony of self-correction, bargaining, and shame. Get up, you say. Why can't you just get up? It's just an email. Just type it. What is wrong with you? This internal war is exhausting. It burns more glucose, more emotional energy, than the actual work ever would. You are fighting a battle against your own nervous system, and you are losing. And so, to cope with the pain of this paralysis, you dissociate, you scroll, you consume content you don't even like. You watch videos that numb you, not because they are interesting, but because they drown out the voice that is screaming at you to move. You are in the gray zone, that terrible purgatory where you are not working, but you are not playing. You are not productive, but you are not resting. You are simply waiting, waiting for a spark, waiting for the fear to become strong enough to override the freeze. Why does this happen? To find the answer, we have to stop looking at your character. We have to stop talking about willpower, or discipline, or laziness. These are moral judgments, not biological realities. We must look at the animal inside you. We must look at the hardware. Your brain is an ancient machine. It is a piece of biology designed for a world of immediate physical threats, a world of tigers, scarce food, and warring tribes. It is designed to keep you alive in the wilderness. It is not designed to sit in an ergonomic chair and process abstract data for 8 hours a day. When your ancestors faced a threat, the autonomic nervous system had a hierarchy of responses. The first is social engagement. This is when we are safe. We can talk, we can connect, we can solve problems. The second, when danger appears, is mobilization. This is fight or flight. The heart beats faster. Adrenaline floods the blood. You run from the bear, or you fight the wolf. But there's a third state, the oldest state, the state of last resort. This is immobilization. This is the freeze response. When a predator has you pinned, when fighting is impossible and running is futile, the body shuts down. The heart rate drops. The muscles go limp. You dissociate from your body to numb the pain of the inevitable. You play dead. Here is the tragedy of the modern mind. Your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, cannot tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a high-stakes project. It cannot distinguish between the threat of being eaten and the threat of failing. When a task feels too big, when the expectations feel too heavy, or when the risk of criticism feels too sharp, your brain interprets the email in your inbox as a predator. It perceives the to-do list not as a set of chores, but as a threat to your safety. And because you cannot physically fight an email, and you cannot physically run away from a tax return, your brain chooses the only option left. It pulls the emergency brake. It severs the connection to your motor functions. It floods you with chemicals that make you feel heavy, sleepy, and foggy. It screams, "Do not move. If you move, you will be seen. If you are seen, you will be destroyed." So when you sit there, unable to open the laptop, you are not being lazy. You are biologically playing dead to survive a threat that only exists in your mind. Let's go deeper. It's not just biology, it's memory. There's a concept in ADHD coaching called the wall of awful. It explains why some tasks feel easy, and others, which are technically simple, feel impossible. Imagine that every task is a door. For most people, opening the door to check the mail is easy. They just turn the handle. But for you, maybe checking the mail is associated with past pain. Maybe there are bills in there you can't pay. Maybe you've missed deadlines before. Every time you have felt shame or fear or guilt around a task, you have laid a brick in front of that door. One brick is disappointment. Another brick is the time your teacher yelled at you for being disorganized. Another brick is the look on your parents' face when you forgot the important date. Another brick is the sheer, overwhelming evidence of your own past failures. Over 10, 20, 30 years, you have built a massive, towering wall of emotional bricks in front of these tasks. So when you try to just do the task, you aren't just trying to do the work. You are trying to scale a 50-foot wall of trauma and shame just to get to the door handle. And the reason you are exhausted before you even begin is that you are staring at the wall. You are looking at the emotional labor required just to start, and your spirit breaks. This is why "just do it" is such violent advice. It ignores the wall. It pretends the bricks aren't there. It assumes that your hesitation is a lack of desire, rather than the surplus of memory. For many of you, this paralysis has a specific origin story. It is the story of potential. Were you the child who was told how smart they were? Were you the one who didn't have to study in elementary school because you could just absorb the information? Were you praised not for your effort, but for your innate ability? If so, you were set up for a specific kind of failure. You learned that performance should be easy. You learned that if you have to struggle, it means you aren't actually smart. You learned that your worth is tied to your output being perfect on the first try. This creates the perfectionism paralysis. You are not afraid of working. You are afraid of the gap between your taste and your ability, the gap between the masterpiece you can envision in your mind, the glowing, perfect, flawless outcome, and the messy, clumsy, mediocre reality of starting. In your head, the essay is profound. In your head, the art is gallery-worthy. In your head, the business is a success. As long as you do not start, the project remains perfect. It exists in the realm of the quantum possibility. It is Schrodinger's project, as long as you don't touch it. It is both a success and a failure, but mostly a success. But the moment you write the first sentence, you kill the dream. You collapse the wave function. The sentence is clunky. The drawing is crooked. The reality is disappointing. You freeze because you are mourning the death of the perfect idea. You are protecting your ego from the evidence of your own mediocrity. You would rather be the person who could do anything if they just applied themselves than the person who tried their best and produced something average. You are hoarding potential because spending it feels too expensive. We must also speak of the chemistry of later. Why do we wait until the very last minute? Why is the night before the deadline the only time we can move? Because urgency is a drug for the neurodivergent brain, or simply the overstimulated modern brain. Standard motivation isn't enough. Ideally, I should do this is not a chemical strong enough to jumpstart the engine. You need adrenaline. You need cortisol. You need the panic of the impending consequence to simulate the fight or flight response that finally overrides the freeze. You have learned to use anxiety as a fuel source. You wait until the pain of not doing it becomes greater than the pain of doing it. But this is a dirty fuel. It burns hot and it burns dirty. It leaves soot in your engine. Every time you crash land a project at 3 a.m., you damage your trust in yourself. You reinforce the narrative that you cannot be trusted without a gun to your head. And in the downtime, when there is no deadline, you enter the dopamine desert. You doom scroll. You refresh feeds. You search for cheap, quick hits of stimulation to make you feel something. But social media, sugar, video games, these are gray dopamine. They don't satisfy, they only distract. They are the empty calories of the soul. You are starving for the good dopamine, the deep satisfaction of a job done, of a craft practiced, of a room cleaned. But the wall is too high, so you settle for the cheap stuff. And the cheap stuff makes you foggy, which makes the wall look even higher. It is a feedback loop of despair. So how do we thaw? How do we move when gravity feels doubled and the wall feels infinite? We do not do it by trying harder. You have been trying hard your whole life. Shame is not a fuel. Shame is a parka made of lead. It only makes you heavier. We must use physics. We must understand friction. The hardest part of a rocket launch is the first 10 seconds. The sheer amount of energy required to break static friction is immense. Once the object is moving, kinetic friction is much lower. Momentum takes over. The goal, then, is not to finish the project. The goal is not to clean the house. The goal is simply to overcome the static friction of the first inch. We must lower the bar. We must lower it so much that it feels ridiculous. We must lower it until your amygdala, that tiger-fearing guard dog, doesn't even bark. You do not sit down to write the book. That is a threat. You sit down to open the document. That is safe. You do not get up to clean the kitchen. That is a mountain. You get up to pick up one fork. Just one. You must negotiate with your nervous system like you would with a terrified child. You say, "We're just going to put on our shoes. That is all. We don't have to run. Just the shoes." And you must give yourself permission to do a bad job. This is the antidote to perfectionism. You must embrace the sloppy first draft. You must be willing to be bad at it, just to be moving in it. A bad essay is infinitely better than a perfect blank page. A bad essay can be fixed. A blank page is a fortress. Movement creates heat. Action creates motivation. Motivation does not create action. The spark comes after you start the fire, not before. Listen to me closely. You are not broken. You are a high-performance machine that is currently stuck in a safety setting. Forgive yourself for the hours lost today. They are gone. You cannot claw them back with guilt. Forgive yourself for the weeks, the months, perhaps the years of potential that feel wasted. It was not waste. It was data. It was you learning how your mind works. It was you surviving. The past is a heavy rock. If you carry it, you cannot build the future. Drop it. Look at your hands. Look at the space around you. The mountain is not real. The tiger is not real. The wall is made of memory, and memory can be rewritten. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be emotion point one small, imperfect, clumsy step, and then another. The ice is melting. The water is flowing. You are safe to move now.